Welcome, and we're going to wait just a few moments for folks to enter the presentation. But for housekeeping purposes, please feel free to chat your questions into the chat box, and we'll definitely address them at the end of the webinar. And we want to keep this casual and conversational, so don't hesitate to stop us, or at any point, if there's anything that you want to share or jump in, we're happy to. And then we are recording this session, so if you feel like you need to step away or something's happening, we're going to post it to our YouTube channel and you can watch it again later. But here we go. That's the intro here. So welcome to the Art of Psychology and Design with hellowater and Innovate Springfield. And I think I've got a few more people entering the presentation here. So here we go. Get my clicker going. Okay, so I'm Sarah, and I'm the Business Incubation Program Coordinator at Innovate Springfield, and I'm responsible for directing our annual schedule of events and supporting all of the starters that we serve in their entrepreneurial journeys. But I've spent the last 15 years helping small businesses to evolve their brands. I have my bachelor's in fine art and my master's in public administration from UIS. And today I'm really excited to talk to you about the psychology of color, and I'm going to share some design strategies with you and show you some examples of brands that you might recognize and kind of their evolution. And then my friend Rusty is going to talk to you about how he's applied these concepts to his brand, hellowater. I got a little bit ahead of myself. So I know that everyone here is at a different place with their design knowledge, and that everyone is also working on something unique and individual to you. So tonight is really about getting back to the basics and putting the concepts into your unique context and the evolution of your unique brand. So color, real quick, just to kind of get us all engaged and going here, if everybody could just drop your favorite color into the chat, just because I'm curious, I'd really like to see where you're all at with that. So yeah, let's see here, chat, periwinkle, very nice, yellow gray combo, green is also my favorite color. They say geniuses pick green, haha. So yeah, I think that's interesting. And it's also interesting, glitter, of course, pink and black. Okay, nice. So that's pretty diverse. Blue is considered to be the world's favorite color. And I don't know if that's because like the sky is blue or the ocean is blue or the planet is blue. Who knows, right? But as marketers, we can use the psychology of color to trigger responses in our audience, because color is really influencing our behaviors and our feelings, whether we know it or not. Like, we're naturally drawn to certain colors, and they can make us feel happy and uplifted, or they can make us feel, scared and sad or somber. And color is also culturally specific. So in the United States, white is really a symbolic color of cleanliness and purity. Like if you think bridal and sheets or shower curtains, for instance. But in a lot of Middle Eastern countries and in Asian countries, white is symbolic of grief and loss and mourning. So it's really important that we know our audience and that we think about who that is and what we're communicating, right, with the colors that we're using and the messages that we're trying to convey. And I think another great example of this is the color yellow, because when I think of the color yellow, I think of a rubber ducky, I think of a baby shower, I think of children and youth and vitality. But in China, yellow is associated with adult themes. So those two things are like really sitting opposite of one another. And so again, it's really important for us to think about the different associations that there are within colors and sort of the psychology behind that. And so that brings us to the negative and positive associations with color. So again, this might seem like a little bit basic, but it's really important for you to consider so that you don't undermine your brand and the value that you create, and so that you don't confuse your audience. Because if you woke up, I thought of this like while I was preparing for this. If I woke up tomorrow to log into my bank and their brand identity was suddenly like hot pink and gold, how would that make me feel? Right? I would be like, am I at a sorority sisters like get together right now? Or is this my financial institution? You know? So it's really important to think about how warm colors can evoke feelings of maybe like happiness, energizing and enthusiasm, positive energy. But then on the negative side, they can evoke feelings of maybe like danger or safety concerns, violence, or like a work zone. And so that could be a good thing if you're in like the chemical safety business, for instance, or like you are in the work zone sign industry. But it's sort of important to think about, if you're a massage therapist, maybe not so much, right? So because we're applying these color theories to our individual brands, I wanted to also show some examples of, like I said, some recognizable brands and their evolution. And I feel like Coke is like one of the most recognizable brands, Coca-Cola. It's energizing, it's enthusiastic, it's happy, and it's playing on that vintage nostalgia. And you can see, as one of the maybe oldest brands in America, they've really come a long way, but they've also really stayed true to their core identity and their brand elements. And I think that that's something that's really unique about Coke. And as you look at the evolution of their brand over time. Oh, and then Target is another super fun and strong brand. And they're really playing up that youthful vibrancy, enthusiasm, and vitality. And their brand evolution is a little more subtle, I feel like. Got somebody else in the waiting room. And I'd really like to see them maybe play around with a throwback vibe on like this 1962 or 68, but bring it to 2020 with like neon lights maybe, or something exciting. I think that's something that we're really going to start seeing more of, is brands going back and taking, bringing a fresh look on something vintage-ish. So moving on to cool colors. Positive associations: calm, reserved, professional. Negative associations, maybe greed, envy, sadness, or jealousy, or depression, maybe a little bit. But if you look on the whole of brands like all over the world, blue and red are overwhelmingly represented. Especially with like financial institutions. Think about like all the credit card companies, they're all using blue or red. It's just really popular. It's safe, I feel. But look at Taco Bell and their play on cool colors, right? And how it doesn't really evoke calm or professional or sad. They've really evolved to create something fun and youthful. And their audience is young. Maybe they're in a rush, or maybe they're out partying, like 100% not really concerned about the long-term impact of that 99-cent burrito life, right? And honestly, I don't know what was going on in 1962, like with that, who did that? But their core brand elements really haven't changed since 1985. And that's the T-Bell that I grew up with, right? So when we were preparing for this session though, Rusty and I had a really interesting conversation about the evolution of the Taco Bell brand, specifically the Yo Quiero Taco Bell, or the Drop That Chalupa, sort of how they had to distance themselves from the culturally outdated references that they had attached themselves to in like the mid 90s to early 2000s. So that was sort of an interesting thing to think about, again, with the evolution of brands and the different messages that you're sending with the way that you're talking about yourself. But let's not forget neutral colors, everyone. On the positive side, they're really clean and versatile. And on the negative side, maybe they're a little bit void or boring, even like endless nothing. But boring can be good. I don't want to discount boring. Like sometimes we need boring, and boring really lets our other colors shine through. So using neutrals to really highlight other brand colors can be an essential component to your designs. And I don't want to discount neutrals and their importance, because I really think that they help other colors stand out. Got another person here in the waiting room. For anyone who's joined late, we're recording, so you can come back and hit it later. So let's look at Starbucks and their transformation, which really came on early. Rusty and I determined that this first situation was just plain weird. Not sure what was going on there. But notice again that those core elements really reign on and how they have evolved their brand. And here in 2011, they maybe took a risk by removing the text, the words Starbucks coffee, from their brand, because they had achieved that recognition. They were able to afford to do this, right? And I've seen sort of plays on the evolution of their logo that eventually it'll just be a green dot because they're just continuing to zoom in on this mermaid woman's face. So I'm kind of curious to see what Starbucks is going to do with their brand. So bottom line here is we got to do our research. We have to know who our audience is and where they are, and never compromise our core values, and really, stop and think, block out some time to really explore the brands that you're drawn to and why. What really is attracting you to those brands, and really think about it down at your core. Is it the calming effect? Is it the white space? Just really kind of drilling that down, and give yourself permission to play and experiment with your own brand and to discover something, in that process. Also really thinking about playing on how you can appeal to your audience's left and right brain through your marketing concepts. The value-based kind of practical tactics, but then the emotion-based and artistic tactics, and how you really need to capture both of the essence of both of those properties. And it doesn't have to be all at once. You can't be everything to everyone, but it's really just important to think about, the values and the emotions and the practicality and kind of the artistic, and how you can evoke emotions and use color to incite something in your audience. And then check yourself, right? Always, like, is your design doing what it's supposed to be doing? Is it too busy or too boring? My problem is I'm always too close to my designs. I want feedback, and I give it to me straight. It's not going to make me cry, because that's how we get better, right? It's not about hurting my feelings. It's always about making sure that it's doing what it's supposed to. Is it clear and easy to understand? And I can get really crazy and busy with my design life. So that's where it's good for me to have someone check it and be like, hey, Sarah, you're all over the place. What are you trying to say here? And so then these are some examples of how the Innovate Springfield brand has evolved. And we continue to evolve and to play and to give ourselves room to experiment and test and to see kind of what works and what doesn't. And it's always changing. We're not there yet. We're never going to be there. And I think that's the point, is that the top is never achievable, because there's always something new. Okay, so now we're going to talk about design strategies. Just real quick, kind of high level. And the first being the isolation effect, which is simply that we're going to remember the thing that stands out. And this is same. Arby's is different, right? Like, I know you're with me. We're going to remember that thing that stands out. And that's what the isolation effects does. And that's a good point for where those neutral colors maybe can really help something stand out, right? And then proximity. So Unilever is the umbrella for a whole lot of brands, right? And you can see that those products are represented in these designs that make up the U in Unilever through that proximity effect. And then similarity here with the NBC logo. It's using the proximity and similarity of these shapes to come together to isolate the body of the bird in the logo here, as you can see. So just different design tactics, different ways that you can play with design, different strategies that you might incorporate. I would really like to see more people play with proximity. And I think that there are a lot of people who are offering lots of services who might be able to play with proximity underneath like a monogram, for instance, might be kind of fun to play with. Okay, closure. So closure creates the perception of an object as a whole, like this sort of leaf shape in the Girl Scouts logo, when in reality it's not fully closed. And so the idea is that your brain is going to fill in the missing parts of the design to create a whole image. So again, represented in the Girl Scout logo. And then continuity is simply that the human eye is going to follow the smoothest path when viewing lines, right? Regardless of how the lines are actually drawn. So thinking about how you can play on using these strategies to guide people toward your message is important and fun. Let's be honest. Okay, and visceral reactions. This is where it gets like really good. This is that like instinctive gut deep body response that you have when you see an image, right? So you can smell the ocean breeze, you can feel the heat of the dance floor and like the smoke, or the calm of the still water like around you, right? It's very peaceful and serene. So again, thinking about how you can incorporate something like a visceral reaction into your brand with color, with other design elements to create something that evokes an emotion in your viewer.
And with that strategy, it's interesting to note that the brand Corona literally didn't have any words or anything other than sound of the waves crashing in their commercials from the early 80s till just recently in the middle 2000s. So they saw that as, hey, we're selling this reaction, and we're selling a beer, but we want you to connect that reaction to this product. And now they're they got Snoop Dogg and everybody promoting it. But I thought that was an amazing continuity thing that they said, hey, this is the brand.
Right. And it's so true though. Like when I think of Corona now, right? Like the current situation aside, but like the lime in the drink and the feeling of the breeze on your face, the marketing strategy worked. It created this idea that I could have that for myself if only I had a Corona. Like regardless of where I was, even if I was in my backyard, it could feel like the beach. It could feel like my beach kind of thing. So thank you, Rusty. I think that's a great point of the application of these concepts. And that's what I'm really most excited to get to here, because Rusty's going to talk to you guys about how he has applied these strategies to the hellowater brand. So it's just going to be like too good. So glad you're here. Okay, so I also want to talk about fonts though, real quick, and how different fonts and weights and curves are going to evoke an emotion in your audience. Again, if we think about our banks and our financial institutions, if they started to go with these like super scripty typefaces, it would just drive me bananas, Like there are just certain things, certain expectations that you have from a brand, and this is part of it. The typography that you use, the weight and the curve matters. And then dual coding theory, which is just really that when you couple text and image, it channels through our brain more deeply and it helps us remember things better. So here are some examples of how Innovate Springfield has evolved its use of dual coding theory, which, I mean, I'm a little bit embarrassed of this slide. I'm happy with where we are now, but I look back at where we started and I was like, oh my gosh, this is where I started. I thought that was good in 2017. I was like, I am on track with this brand, you guys. Look at me go. But really, it's evolved in a lot of ways. And it's interesting to think about how when you attach an image behind the text, it evokes something in the viewer. So with co-starters here, once that image is behind it and you see the people at co-starters, it creates a different impact than if it were just the text or if it were just the image. So I think it's interesting to think about how we can use these strategies and apply them to our brand, which again, this is just sort of the tip of the iceberg. And we could talk more, but I'm gonna pass the mic to Rusty so that he can talk to you guys about how he has done this too. So take it away, Rusty.
Thank you. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Well done, Sarah. I will say I learned something every time, and I think that's the best part about this. When I was creating hellowater in the early days, it was a lot of fundamentals and a lot of marketing 101, and taking the lessons that Sarah kind of walked through tonight and trying to apply them to a new brand. Then also throwing a lot of those out the window and saying, nope, I'm going to try to do something different. So again, my name is Rusty Jones. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder of hellowater. We are a proud member of Innovate Springfield for 3 years. And yeah, thank you, Sarah, for inviting me. So I just kind of want to walk through what our goals have been. Maybe if I can, all right. For us, when we started this, a lot of it was nutrition based, and a lot of it was finding a niche category in fiber. When we learned that over 97% of Americans don't get their daily fiber intake, and we said, okay, well, let's create a fun, fresh delivery system for that. And in my background, having owned a marketing agency and helping brands like Fairlife and Core Power, and which are Coca-Cola's milk company, and some kombucha brands and some coffee brands come to life, I said, okay, here's this great functionality that isn't so sexy to sell, and it's been stuck in the pharmacy aisle for decades with what we've coined as your grandmother's fiber and Metamucil and Benefiber. And we said, hey, we need to get this to the everyday customer or everyday consumer that needs to bridge the gap in their fiber intake. So I like to tell you that I'd sat there and made a whole brief and went through fundamental design play, but we really didn't. It was more or less just taking this design as a process of creating experiences. And that's my background, is creating these live one-on-one experiences for consumer products. And that really evolved into, when building it, considering that the purchase, right? So you go to the grocery store today and everything looks the same, at least in the beverage world. It's a logo and a fruit on a round bottle. So we knew we were going up against the behemoths of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and whoever else was on the shelf with vitamin water and everything else under the sun. So we wanted to zig instead of zag. We couldn't be a Me Too brand. And with that, I wanted to produce memories and emotions, and more importantly, these experiences that were triggering visual stimuluses. And that in turn would create a purchasing decision. In the beer world, if you guys are craft brew fans, there's 80% of the purchase of a craft beer is made at the cooler or on the shelf. Because if you've seen every craft beer, they're selling a design and an emotion, and more than just an IPA or a stout, because any brand can create that. But what they can't create is this new emotion, this new cult following type of thing. So 90%, for craft beer, it's 80+%. For and everything else, 90% of consumer buying power is unconscious. It used to take, law of averages, it take the consumer 5 times to see something, experience something before they actually purchased it. Now, because of social media and digital marketing and so much noise is out there, it takes upwards of 17 times to somebody see your product or brand, experience it before they actually make a physical purchase of it. So that's really where brand storytelling comes into play. It's less about a product on a shelf and what else is this going to do for my lifestyle? What story are you telling me? So it isn't bound in a book or chapters in your Kindle. It's created in just what Sarah expressed, these colors, these logos, voice, the content, and all these create a story in your mind that leads to the purchase. So if you guys got a minute, I'll share kind of my business partner and I, Tom, this is kind of our story from a nutrition standpoint to a product and storytelling.
Hellowater was born out of an idea to originally create an appetite suppressant water. We just eat too much. My idea was if you could create a great tasting water that helped curb appetite for a few hours during the day, that people would want that. Every diet contradicts itself, right? And there's plenty of diets out there, but the three things that stay common are to reduce or eliminate sugar, add more fiber to your diet, and drink more water. And essentially, that's what all these people were saying is, I know I need to get rid of the bad stuff, bring in this, and we were just the perfect solution for it. One of the original ingredients I started formulating with was fiber, and fiber's very key nutrient to helping reduce or curbing appetite. The things that were important to me is to make sure it was an all natural water, to make sure that there was no sugar, and to make sure that you put enough ingredients in to where it actually has an effect and it actually works on it.
Sure enough, there were thousands of people saying exactly what we were building. It was, I'm done with the soda. I'm done with the vodka. I'm done with the cookies. I'm done with the sugar. Hashtag hellowater. And that's really where hellowater Inspire Health comes from. So we took these great conversations, not only in hellowater, but Smile, Laugh, Love, Live, and Dance are some of the most talked about and hashtag emotions in social media. And then we put it on a bottle and kind of went from there. Sharing something that has never really been seen in the world. And, with hellowater and this inspirational messaging from the grocery aisle, no one's really trying to inspire from the center aisle of the grocery store like we are.
So as you can see, we told a story. We told a story not only of fiber, Americans eat too much, and then how we created.
There's another water comparison. These four waters, they're all from the same company. These are all from Hello Water.
You guys want to watch a review on hellowater?
Waters that are infused with natural flavors.
All right, guy, get out of here.
And stevia. And
just kidding. Anyways, you can watch that review on YouTube. I think he gives us a couple thumbs up. But anyways, so we told a story there, and it was a story of a nutritionist who was trying to create a product to curb appetite, and then a brand marketing guy who said, hey, that's great, but let's create a lifestyle around it and promote positivity. This was in 2016. Obviously, there was some emotional political climate going on that has kind of really stayed to today, but it's in everything that we do. There's so much opportunity to just share kindness. And that's really what our goal here is at hellowater, along with inspiring health. So from a fundamental standpoint, even though I did throw a lot of it out the door, the first thing was consistency. You look at some of the bigger brands in Apple and Coke, and the one thing they did was really stay consistent to their messaging and their visual aid. So why it works for us is really going deliberately against the grain, this zig versus zag approach. We decided to be more of an inspirational approach to health and wellness as opposed to, that creating a fear. If you look like that because you don't drink this, and some of those brands, especially in the pharmacy aisle, kind of have that approach. They want to fear you into drinking this. So we looked at key attributes and wanting to make it zero sugar, have a real source of functionality and fiber, and again, moving to nothing artificial. And again, just a simple reminder to smile. It's literally the most gorgeous thing you can wear. So when we were going against the grain and using brand consistency, or for us, brand consistency wouldn't matter if you don't have a brand worth mentioning. There's so many great brands that came before us that didn't have a story, and they looked like somebody else. They had a great product, but they looked exactly like that 99-cent product right next to them. So there was no real upgrade reason for them to buy it. So in creating your brand and your story, I would just ask, what market segments might exist in your industry that haven't been tapped into yet? And if you have that, what is something that you can create to upgrade it from somebody else that might be creating something similar? And for us, it was, that I'm guilty of. I had so many influences in the Cokes and Pepsis and all these other great brands, but what I don't want us to do, and what I didn't want to do, was be such an admirer of these successful brands and it being counterintuitive to the approach that I was having with my vision and my passion for hellowater and this emotional packaging that's snuck a little fiber in your diet. So, and that's really how we succeeded really early on. We looked like nothing on the shelf. We had a great functionality that wasn't really being brought to the center store, the grocery store. And again, it goes back to, we couldn't be a Me Too brand. We couldn't be another brand with just a logo and a fruit that said, we've got vitamins. Cohesive. So this was key for us in the first year or so of branding as well, was having that consistent color. As you can see here, the first question we asked was, what's your favorite color? For me personally, I like the combination of yellow and gray, but as a brand, it was so important for us to have this consistent color that matched everything along point of sale, advertisement materials, marketing, business cards, backdrops, so that it becomes identifiable with the hellowater brand as we evolve into multiple products beyond fiber. So for us, it was the hellowater blue that we created of our own Pantone. And then with every flavor, having that same consistent color in everything. And then as you can see, having the visuals of the icons of high fiber, low glycemic, and just those call outs that are recognizable across multiple mediums. And for us, it was really having three key pieces for brand messaging and positioning, having our three pillars from a brand management standpoint. The first one was differentiation. We would never be able to compete with Vitamin Water because we don't have the marketing machine that they have. So we wanted to create this fun, fresh delivery system for fiber. So that was it. We were one of the first ready to drink fiber infused waters on the market. And then we needed a mission to actually move towards. And it was pretty simple. The packaging was inspirational. That was our message, promoting positivity. And it was health, from a fiber aspect and curbing appetite. And this ostentatious goal of helping to eliminate the diabetes and the obesity epidemic that's been, really a core to what we're trying to do. And then just the elevator pitch. We have, in the beverage world, you've got milliseconds to catch somebody's attention. So if we ever get back to sampling in store and you're hanging out with my grandma and I at Costco, you'll hear us say something as pretty simple as, have you heard of hellowater before? And they'll say no, of course. And we'll say, well, it's a fun, fresh delivery system for fiber with 0 sugar, 5 grams of fiber, helps support digestive health. Would you like to smile, laugh, love, live, or dance today? And that kind of catches them off guard, be like, well, I want to do all those things. Well, great. Now I've entered into a conversation with you. And it was something as simple as identifying something emotional, simple as a word, that brought them into a conversation as opposed to another product selling me another thing. And we were able to evolve on that. And then the three elements of a cohesive brand identity. So logo, as you can see with Taco Bell and Coke and Starbucks, they evolve, but they still have some consistency to it, especially maybe not Taco Bell from 63 to today, but once it got to focusing on the actual bell, you saw that cohesiveness and that brand identity. So eventually, Coke and Pepsi and Starbucks, they can drop the actual word of the product and the brand and just be a logo. Like I said, for us, it was brand coloring, and most other successful brands as well. That way it's, it's all across your mediums, whether social media or websites. And then imagery and icons, as you can see here on the right for us, it was just something that's identifiable to what's actually in the product. And then this is the biggest part for us. It's connected. we live in a noisy world. And like I said, it takes a consumer 17 times to see something before they actually purchase it. And people react much better to the emotional parts of an ad compared to the linear text. In social media, the highest performing post, at least in the beverage world, are something with a dog and a cat in it. And nobody can explain why other than it's a dog and a cat. So our goal was to connect with consumers through positive affirmation and, again, sprinkling in some nutrition facts. It can be difficult to create quality emotional marketing if you're not genuine about it, and that's really our goal. You know, we live this this life of promoting positivity in our own personal lives, so it really is easy for us to do that from a social media and marketing platform as well. And so we're trying to do that emotionally. Most brands tend to focus on whether it's conversion rates, impressions, bounce rates, offers, and really forgetting the emotional appeal. I'm guilty of this. At the beginning of hellowater, it was so important to sell because that's what put money into the company so we could do more. Now that we've evolved, it's really understanding the customer journey. And that's even more important than actually selling a bottle. Because if you don't have something more for them to connect with you with, whether it's sharing something that is helpful for their lives, here's a nutrition tip, here's here's some information about traveling that has nothing to do with water, but it just connects them to your brand that they want to keep coming back consistently to see what's up at hellowater. Oh, by the way, I forgot to buy my fiber water today. And then there's data that reveals that the most shared ads are based on emotional content, which include happiness and the feeling of friendship and inspiration. And I forgot to put those stats in here. That's not helpful. And then here you can see just some simple Google ads and social media things that have, again, don't show a bottle all the time, but just kind of bring together the simplicity of it. I don't think this is going to work, is it? I'll try it, but again, I'm a big fan of Coca-Cola. I was fortunate to work in the Coca-Cola system for a while, building the Fairlife brand, and I just think some of their advertisement is just so simple and it has nothing to do with always selling a Coke. So take a minute to watch this. So that's really what our goal is here at hellowater. It had to do with Coca-Cola and sharing a Coke. You know, if you remember their share a Coke campaign where they put names of people on the bottles, and sales grew by 2% in the year that they did that campaign, which is a lot of money in Coke. We're talking billions of dollars in sales just from a new perspective that people were collecting it and sharing it. And that's really the goal from the hellowater perspective, is sharing a smile, sharing a laugh, and sharing a love with your friends and family. No, by the way, sneaking a little fiber in your diet. So that's why I'm a big fan of Coke. And then for us, it's adapt, evolve, and play. So we started as a fiber-infused product because there was a need for it, and we would be able to evolve into a total beverage company. As you can see here, in 2021, we'll bring about a hellowater alkaline product. And this is really just from the customers asking us, hey, I love hellowater fiber infused, but then I go to the grocery store and I pick up my alkaline water. I go to a different website and I buy it there. Can you create one for us so I can just buy everything here? So of course, we're a beverage company, a water company. We said, why not? And then the play part is, we just recently were able to announce that if you live here in Springfield and you know the company Brandt, it's a global agricultural company, we partnered with them to bring to life a new patented technology in the immunity defense category that is going to help eliminate toxins from your body faster. And we're calling that hellowater defense. So we'll launch that in March. And with that comes a partnership with Junior Motorsports, and you'll get to see this beautiful NASCAR roll around Atlanta and New York speedways here in 2021. So from the beginning of what Sarah said, color, design, continuity, cohesion, all that matters. But at the end of the day, it's for us, or for me, is don't neglect your own feelings when creating your own brand. If that's going to come that's going to come through a lot easier and with a lot more passion than saying, oh, I checked all the boxes. I got the color. I wanted to be the passionate brand. We got red. I want to be the powerful brand. We got red. And then you checked all the boxes, and now you've got a brand, but there's no message, story, or passion behind it. So that's my 2 cents. Again, check out hellowater.com. If you're interested in trying the products, please use ISPI15 for 15% off your order. And any questions, please feel free, or I'll flip it over to Sarah and we'll go from there.
Code I Spy, y'all. That makes me really excited. No, I would love to, have questions if anyone has them. Again, we can stop sharing screens and kind of just chat. We also have breakout rooms if you guys want to break out and kind of dive into some discussion with each other about your individual brands or anything that came up today. So really, the floor is yours. Please tell us what you would like to do. Anyone?
Hi.
Yeah, you got a question?
Yeah, can I talk? Is this working?
Yeah.
All right. So Rusty, thank you so much. This is awesome. I would love to know how you came up with your fonts, your color scheme, like you know what I mean? Like where did you begin figuring out how to start the branding and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, so for me, we started with pretty simple, PowerPoint kind of fonts, things that you could find in there. And then when we went to final product design, we flipped it over to an agency called 8-Bit Creative out of Wisconsin. And they really specialize in the legality when it comes to consumer packaged goods. So the fonts are great, but then when you go to print it, and you've only got this much room, as a brand creative, I didn't know like the actual size and font and needs. So when I had just a standard PowerPoint font, flipping it over to final production, those didn't always work because they were too long, they were too wide, and they wouldn't fit on our 2x5 label. So I will admit that I did not do the final font. It was by Chris D. Giovanni at 8-Bit Creative. So if you get a chance, I'll put this information here. But it wasn't too far off. It was still a lot of your standard fonts that were easily recognizable. And if I think in the beginning, maybe I read it somewhere else, but you can find some font wheels of what's important, whether it's just dependability or elegance and things like that. So that's what we did. And then from just a brand name, Hello Water, you can see that there's some cutouts in the L's and a cutout in the O. That was really just for us to be able to have something stand out when we actually created an actual logo. I wish there was a story behind it. I tried to think of one. We were born in Chicago, so the L's kind of look like one of the buildings in Chicago, but I couldn't really ever create a story around it. So long-winded answer, but yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for your question, Matt. Did anyone else have any questions or any ideas, any thoughts, anything that came up for them that they want to share?
Hi, Sarah.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thank you. So I wanted to ask, what are some maybe books or resources that you can share that would be good to study design psychology, color psychology, and things like that?
Oh, for sure. So I am gonna, when I send the recording out, I've got like a whole list of resources that I want to share with everyone. I subscribe to some things too. I feel like HubSpot is one that I get a lot of value from. I don't know if you've heard of HubSpot, but that's, yeah. And then there's some others too, but I can't really think of them off the top of my head, but I know I've got my list ready to shoot off. So, but that, I think your point is well taken. Like, I'm always consuming content, always, and always looking for more. And part of, I think maybe a weakness of mine is that because I'm always looking for things, I don't always know how I find them. So then I'm like, oh, I don't know where this even came from, but it's just like, I'm always clicking and always subscribing so I can get it to me. If nothing, even if I'm just like not looking at it, at least I know it's there if I want it. So Rusty, do you have anything that you subscribe to or that you think is good?
Yeah, the three that really helped me and that I put in my Audible account are Zig Not Zag, and that's really was the premise of Hello Water. We couldn't look like anything else. Simon Sinek's Start With Why. It's less about brand design, but it's about the story. You have to have a reason to sell it or a reason to create it. So start with why. And then the Method Project. Or something like that. It's about the story of the guys who created the brand Method, which is the cleaner environmental hand soap product. I know they have millions of products now, but when they first started out, it was, again, every pump soap looked alike. So they wanted to, and it was so heavy plastic and it was bad for the environment. So they wanted to create a elegant, functional product that you could actually want to see on your kitchen sink or your bathroom sink in your bedroom. And there was so much design that went into something like that. So those three things, The Power of Why, Zig Not Zag, and the Method Project, something like that.
Yeah. You know, something that, Rusty, as you're talking and as I'm thinking a little bit more, simmering on this, I look at art a lot and like the history of art even, or modern art. And I feel like our brands, I'll show you. I'm wearing my Innovate Springfield gear. I've got like yellow all over. Like this is a brand identity that is with me everywhere I go. I really feel like I'm living the Innovate Springfield brand. And it is an art and it is a lifestyle. So thinking about how we are all like, art doesn't start and stop. Everything that you do, everything that you say, like you're communicating something. And I've been really like taken with Coveter on Instagram is something that I look at a lot. And it's really kind of like curated fashion stuff, but also interior design and a lot of art. And it's showing me things that I don't get to see here. Exposing me to something that I don't ordinarily see here in Springfield. And so I think that's another thing, like if you can expose yourself to art and think about even, and all of it, like it's not any one thing, you're gonna find inspiration. And even in like the mundane, I don't know if that is helpful at all. I saw this documentary about Chris Verdin, and that really inspired me. He's a sculpture artist that I'd never heard of, and he did this commercial where he was just color block, and it was like Picasso, and then it said Da Vinci and Leonardo, Michelangelo, and then the last one is Chris Verdin, right? It's like he put himself on this stage and it pissed everyone off, but it was a statement and it was really exciting. And he shot himself in the arm, and, you know, I don't know, just like exposing yourself to new things can really be cool. And Stephanie asked the name of that account. It's Covetor. It's kind of a weird spelling. I'm going to put it into the chat because I Covetor.
And along with art is, for me, was collaboration. I'm not a graphic designer by any means, but I had a vision in my head, and I had, you know, and my basic skills with PowerPoint, I was able to create something, and I'll flip this over, and this is how awful it was after a couple bottles of wine. So as you can see here, here was the first bottle of hellowater, and it was simple, but I was able to flip this over to Chris at 8-Bit Creative and say, hey, this is my idea, but I want it in a square bottle. I want it to be colorless, and I want to be able to see through the back with fruit dropping down the back. And a couple weeks later, we had multiple iterations of it, and then a couple months later, and a couple of years later, you see what we have today. So it's, for me, it was collaboration that was really the key to the actual branding success. Am I still sharing? Can everybody see that?
No, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Collaboration is everything, and everything is everything. That's something too that we've been talking about at Innovate Springfield. Like Rusty, since he's been at Innovate Springfield, has shown up for everything, you know? And so it's like, we reap what we sow, and the seeds that we plant today, we're not gonna feel those fruits for a while, right? But everything matters. So yeah, and thank you for your question. That was a really good question. Does anyone else have anything that they subscribe to, or like cool stuff they want to share with us? Okay. All right, you guys. People, friends. Rusty, you got anything else you want to share? Anything that comes to mind before we log off?
I think for me, I'll just say that, you know, I'm grateful. Thank you all for joining tonight. And it's things like this. Yeah, again, I'm sure you guys are smart and already know all this stuff. And, you know, thank you for hearing the hellowater story. It's always great for us to be able to share it. You know, a lot of hard work, as you can tell, went into, you know, the vision and the dream, and the first iteration, the third iteration, 4 years later, and actually being on shelves, and you know, having all the right legal things that go into it. But yeah, for me, it just started with that why, and we wanted to inspire health, and, you know, ostentatiously eliminate the obesity epidemic. So if we could be a part of a community that is continuing to eliminate sugar in grocery stores, that was our goal. So fast forward to today, we'll continue to create these better for you products, and hopefully inspiring you from a business and entrepreneur standpoint to do the same. And any way that I can help you along the way, you know, feel free to reach out. I'm Rusty at hellowater.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. If you've got Sarah's info, I'm a member of ISPI. So please don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Rusty.
Matt,
yeah, another question?
Yeah, I have a real quick question. If anyone's still here or interested,
Yeah.
have you utilized any of Innovate Springfield's sort of? Oh, Sarah, I'm so new. I couldn't say who it is, but I think the UIUC market research type stuff with their branding. And...
Rusty was more established.
Okay.
He already had a brand identity when he came into the space, so he did not need those resources.
Okay. Yep.
But thank you for your question. And so we've recorded this session, and I'll follow up with a feedback survey. Please give it to us straight. I know I got a question that will there be a series of these calls or presentations? And Innovate Springfield has, you know, a lot of events that we're running. So please keep up with us in our weekly email and social media. If you would like more of this particular content, please fill out that feedback survey so that we can get it on the calendar, because that's what we're here for. And again, like, this is just sort of that entry point, but we're about evolving these conversations and bringing you the content that you need, and, you know, digging into our resources and seeing the experts in our network who can provide the information that you want. So happy to talk about that too. And Innovate Springfield membership, we have calls like this every week. So if you're interested in connecting, you know, like this and learning and growing with us, I'd encourage you to check out membership with Innovate Springfield. And my challenge to all of you is to, you know, give yourself permission to create and put pen to paper. I think people have this idea that artists are born with this God-given talent. You know, Picasso's dad was an artist, an art teacher. So it's not a coincidence that his first word was pencil, right? Like, he learned to give himself permission to do the things that he did. Like, people hold themselves back. We all do. So go out there with your brands, you know, think about it, simmer on it, check the resources that we send you, and then just have fun. Like, do something that you didn't expect that you would do, and see where it takes you, and let us know. Like, we're following. We want to see you grow. So we're here for it. And thank you. Rusty, you got anything else?
That's it.
Yeah.
Be kind. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you attending.